Hi, Changemaker. Since you found us, you're probably really eager to get started with your project or social cause. Perhaps you've heard about fiscal sponsorship in the past, or maybe you're just hearing about it for the first time. Many people don't learn about fiscal sponsorship until they get well into the nonprofit world. But fiscal sponsorship is, in fact, a simple way to run effective community projects without going through the lengthy, expensive process of applying and waiting for a 501c3 nonprofit from the IRS. Oftentimes, people think they need to start a 501c3 nonprofit organization to get their project going, but many quickly find the applications, fees, wait times, and red tape so overwhelming they give up before they get to serve anyone. Opening a nonprofit can be a beautiful thing, but the startup phase can require too much effort, especially if the project is just testing a concept or is intended to be short-term. If budgeting and bookkeeping aren't your strengths, they can quickly become a nightmare when you just want to focus your energy on helping the people you serve. And then there's a question of what to do about fundraising to sustain your project, receipts to settle with your donors, project expenses to keep track of, and eventually taxes to remain legally compliant. The legal and financial paperwork involved in sustaining your project can leave you feeling overwhelmed. And if you don't have the right staff or experience, it's very likely your passion project will soon cause you to lose sleep, get stressed out, and take its toll on your health. Sadly, most people who start community projects continue on this path until they burn out from stress and the project can no longer keep its promise to the people you set out to serve. This can be heartbreaking when you know people are relying on you and you have the potential to change so many lives. If you've been in the nonprofit world for any amount of time, or if you've already begun your project, you've most certainly seen this happen or experienced it yourself. If only you had known about all these stressful factors before you got started. It's my job to make sure that none of this happens to you and that you have the right information to confidently make the best decision for your project's next phase of life. In just a few moments, I'm going to show you how you can take all these stressful factors in running your project off your plate by partnering with a fiscal sponsor. In this presentation, you'll learn what fiscal sponsorship is and how it can help you operate your specific community project or social cause more efficiently, with less stress worrying about administrative tasks that take you away from making an impact. I'm going to teach you the most commonly used fiscal sponsorship models when partnering with a fiscal sponsor, so you'll know which model applies to you and you'll be able to make an informed decision about how to move forward. I'm also going to tell you about a few basic things a fiscal sponsor would need from you in order to begin a fiscal sponsorship partnership so you can get started quickly. And if you stay until the end, you'll get to learn about some great free tools and workshops you can take advantage of to help you get the most out of being a fiscally sponsored project while also improving the ability to serve your community. First, I want to start by saying thank you. Every day, well-intentioned community leaders like you start new projects to improve the lives of others and solve big economic, environmental, and social challenges. You're devoting your life to something bigger than yourself, and this path isn't the easiest, but it's perhaps the most fulfilling. What is fiscal sponsorship? As you may have already learned, fiscal sponsorship lets your project operate under the legal and tax status of an already registered 501c3 nonprofit. It's a type of business partnership available in the nonprofit world that has helped countless small community projects test their service models or even become full-fledged nonprofits themselves. Fiscal sponsorship is a proven and cost-effective way to start a nonprofit organization or bring an idea to life. Your fiscal sponsor takes care of the administrative functions of finance, legal compliance, and risk management for your project so you can focus on implementing mission-based programs and services. With your fiscal sponsor's tax-exempt status, you can also pursue grants and solicit tax-deductible donations. After you watch this entire presentation, if you feel what we shared makes sense for your project and you'd like to work with us as your fiscal sponsor, you can fill out our free fiscal sponsorship application on the next page. Once you complete this free application, a member of our team will review it and reach out to you within 2 weeks. Before we continue, and if you haven't already, I invite you to eliminate any distractions by putting away your phone and closing your social media and any other browser tabs. This would also be a good time to grab a pen and paper because you're going to want to take notes. I know your time is valuable, and my intention for this presentation is to give you all the information you need to make your next big project decision with confidence, so you can save time and stress weeding through esoteric information scattered around the internet about fiscal sponsorship and nonprofits. So who is this for? If you're someone who wants to make a big difference in people's lives quickly with your project, this presentation will help you understand the basics of the two most common fiscal sponsorship models you can use to rapidly launch, sustain, and grow your organization without going through the drudgery of starting your own nonprofit or managing the tedious back office tasks that bog down and even disable most community initiatives. So fiscal sponsorship is for you if you have a community project or social cause that has raised or is ready to raise funds and you're not incorporated as a 501c3 nonprofit. Or if you have a coalition, network, or conference committee that isn't registered as a 501c3. Or if you have a for-profit that wants to raise funds for a social cause related to your business. Or if you have an innovative project looking to test a concept. If you have an existing project that needs to reduce administrative costs and overhead. Or if you have a nonprofit that isn't interested in seeking a 501c3 status. If any of these apply to you, you're in the right place. On the other hand, fiscal sponsorship is not for you if you plan to run your project without first educating yourself on the back office responsibilities required to keep it afloat. Or if you expect that someone else is just going to handle all the stuff you don't want to do and you never have to look at it. You're not seriously committed to your cause and you just see it as a pet project or hobby. If any of these apply to you, fiscal sponsorship is not for you, and you're welcome to end this video now. We would like to only work with people who are sincerely committed to making a difference with integrity. Remember that fiscal sponsorship, although it can be temporary, is a legally binding business partnership model where your fiscal sponsor is counting on your leadership just as you're counting on theirs. Before we go any further, let me tell you who I am. My name is Luli Negreira, and I'm the Director of Finance at the Center for Social Change, a co-working and gathering space for nonprofits and mission-driven leaders in Miami, Florida. Out of the 75 plus members at the Center for Social Change, I work with over a dozen community projects like yours in our fiscal sponsorship program model. I'm a career grant and finance administrator with over 30 years experience in the nonprofit industry. My team and I specialize in giving nonprofit leaders peace of mind by organizing and handling all their back office administrative work so they can focus on what they do best, while knowing their organization is running smoothly in the background. Over the years, I've worked at the Center for Social Change and spoken with hundreds of nonprofits. We notice that many people are bound to become project leaders and are specially suited for service, but they're missing some important knowledge about what it takes to run a business. They know what they want, but they don't know how to get there. I'm proud to say we have developed a solid fiscal sponsorship program to help people like you responsibly pursue their passions and serve people. Unlike other fiscal sponsorship programs out there that require you to have a minimum income of $100,000, we're able to accommodate projects in their startup phase before they bring in any funds at all. And we do this with our nonprofit business education curriculum offered in-house at the Center for Social Change, which I'll share more about later. Now that you have a basic understanding of what fiscal sponsorship is and how it can benefit your project, I'm going to cover the two most common fiscal sponsorship models. There are several types of fiscal sponsorship models available. However, models A and C are the two most commonly used. So which fiscal sponsorship model is right for you? You can choose which fiscal sponsorship is the best fit for your project based on what kind of entity you are. In short, Model A is designed for unincorporated entities like small, informal community projects. This applies to you if you do not have an EIN number. That's an employer identification number assigned to you by the IRS. Model C is designed for incorporated entities such as nonprofits without a 501c3 status. You'll know you're incorporated if your entity has an EIN number. First, let's cover Model A. Fiscal Sponsorship Model A, also known as Comprehensive Fiscal Sponsorship, is designed for projects that don't have any business structure attached. It's called comprehensive because it offers a wide range of services that you might not already have in place, such as a dedicated bookkeeper or general liability insurance. And since you're unincorporated, your project becomes a program within your fiscal sponsor's organization. Your fiscal sponsor maintains all legal and fiduciary responsibility for your project, including its employees, activities, and a full array of other financial and administrative services. In essence, you legally become part of their organization. Here's an example of someone who's a good fit for a Model A fiscal sponsorship. Ashley has a full-time job, but her passion is working with animals and in particular training rescue dogs at the local shelter to make them more adoptable. She and two of her friends are all certified dog trainers, and together they start a nonprofit called Applause for Paws. They wrote a simple strategic plan for how they're going to make every shelter dog in Miami-Dade County adoptable by 2025. In their plan, they detail the specifics of their dog training program, the metrics they'll track to make sure they're fulfilling their mission, the budget they need for each aspect of their project, and how and when they plan to raise the money they need. Applause for Paws isn't yet a business with the state of Florida, much less a 501c3 nonprofit. But Ashley and her friends would consider incorporating their project as a nonprofit within a year if they find their project can raise $5,000 and spur 50 adoptions in the first 6 months of operation. One of Ashley's friends is a writer and will take care of grant applications. Another friend runs a digital marketing agency and promised to help with social media and email marketing. They need help keeping track of their money when they raise it and when they spend it, so they can appeal to their donors and avoid trouble with the IRS. In Ashley's case, she's running her project without incorporating, while she and her friends test their program for 6 months. They have a strategic plan for accomplishing their mission, and each member of their group can contribute to different essential aspects of the project, while a fiscal sponsor provides the back office needs. Since Applause for Paws is testing their program's viability, it doesn't make sense for them to invest the time and money required to incorporate as a nonprofit right now. It's much easier for them to operate under another nonprofit's wing until they can get to fly on their own. Now let's take a look at Fiscal Sponsorship Model C for incorporated entities. In Model C, your fiscal sponsor assumes that, since you are an incorporated entity, you already have the capacity to manage most of your back office responsibilities. In this case, your fiscal sponsor will be responsible for charity-related income your projects take on. They will also oversee your grant applications and finances to ensure they're done in accordance with the standards of the nonprofit sector. Model C is appropriate for entities such as nonprofits that do not have a 501c3 tax status but would like to raise funds and write grants. It's also appropriate for associations, coalitions, and conference committees. Unlike in Model A, where your project becomes a program within the fiscal sponsor's organization, in Model C, your project remains independent and receives fiscal oversight. Here's an example of someone who's a good fit for Model C fiscal sponsorship. Carol is the director for Miami Hope Center, a nonprofit food bank in downtown Miami. She wants to organize a charity walkathon to raise money during the first quarter of next year. Carol was quick to write a simple strategic plan for the fundraising event. The food bank already has a dedicated bookkeeper to organize the books and general liability insurance to cover potential accidents at the event. However, since Miami Hope doesn't have a 501c3, they're not sure how to properly accept, record, and report donation-based income. Carol began her research for a local 501c3 nonprofit organization who could support Miami Hope with a short-term fiscal sponsorship agreement. In Carol's case, Miami Hope is seeking a fiscal sponsor as a nonprofit business organizing a charity event. They have the administrative capabilities needed to run their business, so instead they sought a fiscal sponsor who could accept donations so they don't get into trouble later on. In addition, the charity walkathon is a single event with a definitive ending, so there's no need to incorporate a separate nonprofit for it. I hope these two examples help to demonstrate the key differences between Model A and C. For more on the specific benefits of each model, take a look at the simple feature chart that outlines what each one provides. You can see that in both models, you're covered under the fiscal sponsor's 501c3 tax exemption status, and many fiscal duties include grant proposal reviews, donor acknowledgement, and Form 990 tax returns are covered. With Model A, your fiscal sponsor knows you'll need other back office services such as bookkeeping, account receivables, Form 990 preparation for independent contractors you work with, and general liability insurance, which many businesses have already depending on their function. With Model C, since you would manage your own books, your fiscal sponsor simply handles your deposits and reviews your finances to make sure everything that needs to be recorded for your project has been done correctly, and they can give you feedback to make adjustments as needed. So how to get started with fiscal sponsorship? Getting started with fiscal sponsorship typically has a few basic requirements so your fiscal sponsor can be sure your project is properly set up for success and kicks off on the right foot. The amount of income your project generates every year is a big consideration for most fiscal sponsors, as they charge a small percentage of your income as a service fee to cover their administrative costs when working on your project. Because of that, other fiscal sponsors will require you to generate a minimum income, sometimes as much as $100,000 annually, in order for them to work with you. At the Center for Social Change, we do not have a minimum income requirement for your project to get started with fiscal sponsorship. We are also currently accepting projects who have not generated any income at all. We're doing this as part of our mission to help grow South Florida's social change community, and we don't want revenue to become a barrier for project startups that could make an impact right now. So far, we've seen project leaders with a variety of skill sets impacting the community, and we've been able to support project leaders who start with little or no knowledge of business development, marketing, or grant writing. So whether you have a plan and know how to run your project, or you're just starting one for the first time, it's possible to get your fiscally sponsored project running with very little upfront work. So the minimum requirements to get started. We are currently accepting projects that align with our mission to make a local impact, as well as South Florida-based projects that have wider reach either regionally, nationally, or internationally. Secondly, you must have a well-written strategic plan. This communicates your vision, mission, and in detail exactly how you expect to fulfill each of those. A fiscal sponsor will not consider your project a viable one if you haven't yet been able to clearly communicate how you plan to sustain your project and make an impact. If you don't have a strategic plan yet, don't worry. We will provide you with all the support you need to submit a successful one. And third, you must have an active advisory committee with at least 3 members. It's very important that your project has ongoing internal oversight. We know that every great leader must begin their journey somewhere, and we work with project leaders with a variety of backgrounds and experiences. As a project leader, there's plenty you'll learn out in the field, and if you choose to work with us, we look forward to supporting your growth. With all the support that we provide for our fiscally sponsored projects, there must be a catch, right? Actually, the catch works in your favor and gets you access to some pretty amazing nonprofit resources, which I'll talk to you about in just a few moments. When you're accepted as a fiscally sponsored project with the Center for Social Change, we require that you become a Center for Social Change member. This grants you access to free educational and networking opportunities you can leverage to help grow your project. We have a membership plan that starts at $50 a month. Outside of your monthly membership plan, you won't pay us any fees unless your project brings in revenue. For projects under Fiscal Sponsorship Model A, our fees range between 8 and 10% of your revenue if you raise under $100,000 within a year. Our fees drop down to 7% of your revenue when you raise $100,000 or more within the year. For projects under Fiscal Sponsorship Model C, our fee is even less. It's 7% when your revenue is below $100,000 within a year, and only 6% when your revenue is $100,000 or more within a year. Due to the extra time it takes to manage the requirements for government grants, we add an extra 3% to our fees in both models. Although your fiscal sponsor is responsible for the administrative side of your project, you'll still be responsible for the leadership, fundraising, marketing, and maintaining good relationships with your funders. If you're not well versed on all aspects of running a charitable community project yet, don't worry. You can still fill out an application to get started, and we can help you identify where you need support. Once you're in the program, you'll have access to educational opportunities and experienced consultants for free or at reduced rates. You'll get to pick which workshops and consulting sessions you sign up for so you don't spend your valuable time and resources on things you don't need while you're working with us. Here's a snapshot of our educational tracks you can take advantage of as needed. For projects in the startup phase, we offer twice monthly free business workshops to help you test the viability of your project idea and get working on your strategic plan if you don't already have one. Once you're a member, these are free for you and you can attend as many times as you'd like. You can find links to our upcoming workshops by subscribing to our monthly newsletter or by viewing the education section of our website. For projects in the development and growth phases, we offer regular grant writing workshops, including weekend grant writing intensives, to help you jumpstart your fundraising efforts quickly. These are available for a fee and are strongly recommended if you have little to no grant writing experience. As a Center for Social Change member, you'll also have access to our regular org toolkit workshops for free. These cover a variety of topics from fundraising, marketing, social media, donor retention, metrics, reporting, and so much more. If you want to accelerate your progress, some fiscally sponsored project leaders hire members of our team for consulting on things like grant writing, marketing, IT support, and more. If you decide to become a Center for Social Change Coworking level member, you'll also enjoy the perks of our in-house wellness program, including weekly yoga and meditation sessions, 15-minute massages, and core conditioning workouts. As always, our free coffee and snacks are served all day. We have super fast Wi-Fi, and you'll be eligible for 24-hour access depending on your membership level, and our membership team is available to serve you during those business hours. If you're ready to take your project to the next level and you satisfy all of the basic requirements, there's absolutely no reason not to fill out the free application to get started right now. There are no fees and no obligation. As promised at the start of this presentation, I said I would share with you how to take stresses of back office administration work off your plate by partnering with a fiscal sponsor. I also said I would show you how to get started with only a few basic things you should have as a local project leader. Those are that you're South Florida based and you align with our mission to serve the local community or beyond, your well-written strategic plan, your active advisory committee with at least 3 members. In addition to that, we cover the differences between the 2 most common fiscal sponsorship models. Model A is for unincorporated projects and Model C is for incorporated entities. And finally, we covered some ways you can get access to additional education and support to help you be successful as a fiscally sponsored project. I hope you found this presentation to be both helpful and informative. Like I said, if you feel what we shared makes sense for your project and you'd like to work with the Center for Social Change as your fiscal sponsor, please fill out the free fiscal sponsorship application on the next page. But please only do so if you're ready to invest the time and effort to grow your project, and if you're seriously committed to making a difference in your cause with the utmost integrity. Since you made it to the end of this presentation, it's very likely you're someone we would like to meet. Once again, please complete the free application and a member of our team will reach out to you within 2 weeks. While we review your application, we may reach out to you to ask clarifying questions, answer questions you may have, and ensure your project is a good fit for the program. Once you've been accepted into the program, we'll schedule an onboarding call and an orientation for you and your team to get you moving forward. It means the world to us that no matter where you are on your path of leadership and service, you have chosen to dedicate this time to educating yourself on new ways you can make an impact on the world. I want to acknowledge you again for devoting your life to something greater. My team and I look forward to receiving your application.